Hello, so today I'd like to take a look at this Pontiac Sunbird owner's manual. It's from a '94 Sunbird. In the United States they kind of register their cars as from the year, rather than the make and model. It's more of a sort of like what year it was produced. So they took of a '94 Sunbird or a '68 Mustang or a 73 Ford. God, the brain's gone. Can't think of a Ford other than a Mustang. It's gone, my brain, and it never even said goodbye. Anyway, yeah, here we go. Look, table of contents. So there's a note there to Canadian owners as well. And because, of course, these cars would have been sold up in Canada too, I've no doubt. This was awesome. This was a car that I hired in '94. I spent most of that year in the States, on the west coast of California. I also went to Grand Canyon, and I think that's in Nevada. I hope it is anyway, otherwise I'm going to get lots of negativity. But I also went to Tijuana in Mexico. So all up and down San Diego, the Big Sur, did some surfing on the Big Sur, which was absolutely awesome. And effectively went up right as high as Carmel in California. And I went to the Hog's Breath, which was Clint Eastwood's restaurant. And I was so convinced that he was going to be there, because sometimes apparently he would do some waiting, and kind of show himself to attract customers. In those days he was, I think, the mayor of Carmel. But yeah, it was pretty awesome year of my life. So this is pretty mundane stuff. It's all about seat restraints and what have you. Let's see if we can. So there's all sorts of information about how to drive. This is what I like about the American car manuals. They give you all sorts of information. They even tell you safe driving tips and that, which you rarely get in the UK manuals that I collect. I collect a lot of stuff. That was the speedometer. It was the first car I'd ever driven that was automatic, in actual fact. Sunbird was a 2-litre. They also did a 6. I think it was a V6, but the 2-litre. Sorry, I'm actually looking at the V6 cluster there. The one I was driving was the 2-litre cluster. Well, the 2-litre car that was the dashboard. So obviously you can see the differences. This one had a petrol gauge here, and the temperature, petrol, and that one had a rev counter thing going on there. So that was obviously the beefier model. Actually, the front's not true. Mine wasn't the one I hired, I should say, wasn't a convertible. It was a hard top. It was a hard top. The front looked the same, and it was absolutely stunning car. A beautiful car. What happened? I mean, whoa. What happened was I'd actually hired something really naff, and I arrived in America, and the lady in the Hertz, I think it was, car hire, said, "I'm so sorry, sir, Mr. Timber, that we've not got your car readily available, so we're going to automatically upgrade you." And I just thought, oh, nice one, sweet. and when I saw what I'd been given, I just thought, this is good. This has got to be good. And that was pretty much the cockpit, the auto box. First I'd ever driven an automatic. Actually, it was, as I said, it was really awesome. Just press and go. In fact, I don't even know why I bother with gear cars. What's the point of them? Absolute waste of your time. But I suppose it was because I used to buy old bangers, and you can't bump start an automatic. So that was probably one of the main reasons why I didn't buy them. But yeah, look at that console. I remember all these things. Driving through the one thing nasty that happened though was that because I went through Death Valley, and then I went up to Mammoth Mountain, which is very high, and I actually got altitude sickness, AMS. I got acute mountain sickness from doing that. Bizarre, I know, but it's true. However, in Death Valley, it was so absolutely awesome, freaking hot, that the windscreen started to crack on the car. Probably because I had the what we call in Polish the klima, but I had the what's it called, air conditioning. The aircon was pumping out, And I think the differences in temperature from the inside of the car to the outside just caused it to crack. The windscreen, that is. Now, I remember this switchgear actually, the instrument control. I mean, these sorts of things just weren't heard of in the UK in these days. Panel intensity control. You can brighten or dim the instrument panel lights by sliding the light control up and down. I mean, it was like awesome. You thought, woo, really? You know, I sat in the hotel at night and read this thing like a Bible. It was like bonkers, I know, but I love cars, and I never could have afforded a car like this in the UK, but this year I'd saved for, and I kind of, Barclay card, did a lot of it as well. I was paying it off for years, but it just had to be done in my head. I had to just go out and see things and travel, and I'm so glad I did. But yeah, I remember the parking brake was this handle, like you just don't have this kind of thing. Well, you do actually. The McGann that a friend of mine keeps in my garage has the same parking brake, but that McGann is from 2005, so it's like 20 years younger than this car had. And yeah, just the auto box was awesome. Moving the shifter, I had to get used to it though, because every time I was sort of driving along, every time I went to stop, my left foot would kind of dump the clutch, which wasn't there, of course. So I was pressing on the floor of the car for the first sort of 100 or so kilometres. But I did massive amount of miles in this car, and when I took it back, this poor woman was gutted. The windscreen, by then the crack had expanded across the entire stretch of the windscreen. And I didn't want to take it in, because of course I thought if I take it in, I'll probably be downgraded to the darn donkey that I'd ordered in the first place. They'll take my Pontiac away. Don't take my Pontiac away. You are my Pontiac, my only one. No, whatever. But no, the car was awesome. Really enjoyed it. Oh yeah, I remember that. You put the key in, and you turn this metal. The big thing was like a metal switchgear thing. I remember when it first fired up, I just thought, awesome. The sound of that 4-cylinder engine was just like wicked. Because I think it was probably the first, as I say, definitely first auto. Probably the first 4-cylinder. No, wouldn't have been. Talking rubbish. Scrub the rest. Scrub the above. Losing the plot again. But yeah, so that was pretty much it. And there were 2 keys, that's right, there was one for the boot and one for the ignition. So you could give the valet the key for the boot, and he would take your bag. So I used to stay at these, I forget what they're called now actually. God, I'm really going senile. Some chain of hotels that they had that were quite reasonable, they were cheap in actual fact. But no, it's gone. But there were really good places, and you'd effectively give the key at reception, and the valet would do all the parking for you and take your bags to your room, which was awesome. Although you had to tip him, of course, because in America you tip. If you didn't, you'd be not. I suppose they wouldn't have said much, but I mean, it's expected. It's like taxis in London. They expect a tip. Waitresses in London, waiters and waitresses, they expect a tip. I know I did. I was one for years. But you don't tip barman. Funny that, isn't it? I suppose you buy a barman a drink, don't you? That's the difference. But anyway, there you go. Just trying to whiz through, find something of interest. Maintenance schedule. What's that all about? Nothing. Just a maintenance schedule that tells you how and when to do what. So, more of a chat this one than anything else. But there's your sort of like overall information there, where the battery is, transaxle fluid, engine oil, how to put the fuel in, because you wouldn't believe how many people I've met that couldn't find a petrol cap in an American car, because sometimes they're hidden behind a number plate, or they've got some sort of pull hatch that catch. I mean, I'm going back in the 90s, of course, and they were just stood there. English people just in the petrol stations in the US just stood there scratching their heads, going, "How? How's it going?" And of course, yeah, it was amusing. It was a way of meeting people as well, which is good. So there you go. Hope you found this of some interest. Probably not, but just another memory dump from my my little life. But these would have taken the cards for the consultants and, you know, for the business cards. That's what that's saying there. Anyway, Pontiac Sunbird. Massive thumbs up to it. Thanks ever so much for watching as always, and all the very best. Cheers. What are you doing now there? What's it up to, this little dog? Snoozing it, isn't it? Snoozing, this little doggy. It's having a snooze, it is. It's having an afternoon kip, it is, this little dog. You're a good boy, Jimbers. Come on.